Welcome back. Ed Martin here on the Pro America Report. And don't forget, go to proamericareport.com to sign up for my daily email. You get it at 5 a.m. I know Selena's going to be happy because she gets it and she gets junk from everybody, but it's not junk. Mine's not junk. So you should get it. But you also need to go to salenazito.com, salenazito.com, and you can sign up there. And she doesn't bother you every day, although it's almost every day because she writes so much. You can see her writings at her writings at the Washington Examiner, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, all over the place. So first of all, it's been a while, Salena. It's been a few weeks, maybe a month or more. So welcome back. How are you?
I know. I think this is the longest we've been separated from each other. I'm not quite sure what to do.
It's terrible. It's been a terrible, terrible loss. But anyway, hey, I'm thinking about you because are you going to gear up and go like in your vehicle and go? Are you going to go Milwaukee for the thing and the Democrat convention and then go to Charlotte and then go to Jacksonville? Are you getting ready to get in the car again and be all over the place?
Well, here's the thing. I've never stopped going everywhere. I've still been out there driving around on the back roads throughout the virus. And in these sort of early days of the country opening back up. But I'm still on the back roads up in Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, throughout Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky. So there sort of hasn't been a stop with that. I interviewed the president in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Interesting fact. From Pittsburgh, Tennessee, this is probably not that interesting, but I think it's interesting. To the Tennessee state border line is closer to Pittsburgh than Allentown, Pennsylvania. I think that's crazy.
I think that is too. I wouldn't have thought that, but I'm not very good on maps. I'm not very good on that kind of thing, to spatial, whatever that is, spatial recognizing. Hey, Salena, what was your impression? You've met the president before, but in that recent interview with him, I want to ask you this question because the media is loving this right now. But I do think, is there any job harder than being president? Like nobody ever becomes president, and then when you look at them 4 or 8 years later, they don't look like they've just been worked so hard, just so much pressure. How did he seem physically, energy-wise, and everything? When you were with him?
Well, to be honest, I didn't ask him, but I thought about asking him if he had work done because he looked really great. And it really stunned me. Yeah, I mean, it really sort of stunned me. And I mentioned this to my photographer as well, and he thought the exact same thing. Because traditionally, presidents age much quicker than regular human beings. George Bush, Barack Obama, I mean, they aged so much quicker than I think they probably would have had they not been in office. But I don't know if it was because it was the first time he had been out, or maybe he'd been doing some workout routine, but he was really, really good. And I was glad I had a mask on because I didn't want to think I was staring at him. But yeah, it struck me that he looked great. I also just interviewed Vice President Pence as well on Friday here in Pittsburgh. Trump's mood was he was happy. I think he was happy to be out. I think he was happy to be. I think he feeds off of the energy of travel. I have often said that presidents are like lions. And lions, when they're in a cage, they look sad and defeated and not the majestic creatures that they are. And I liken that to being in the White House. But when they're out in the Serengeti, meaning when they're out with the people, they sort of beam and have, and this is not just Trump, this is every president. They stand taller, their voice is deeper, and there's more energy from them because I think one of the reasons you wanted to be elected president was to be in and among people and understand them. And so I saw that from Trump as well.
We're talking with Salena Zito. And again, go to salenazito.com, salenazito.com, and you can sign up for her email. She'll email you whenever one of her articles is published. The more recent one, the recent one I want to ask you, posted today, was called Ghostbusters DriveIns and Marching Forward Together. And you're in Butler, Pennsylvania, which I don't know where that is. So you have to tell me in a second. But I was interested because a long time ago now, it feels like years, but it was maybe 2.5, 3 months. When this first started, someone said, no matter what, the place you want to be is in drive-in theaters because you don't have to go into a big theater anymore. So walk us through this piece and who you found and this story. It's a good one.
Yeah, and early on during the pandemic, I also went to a church service at a drive-in.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I did. I reported from it. It was pretty inspiring, and that's something that's pretty common around here. But so what happened was the last Monday, June 8th, was called Ghostbusters Day. That's the day that Ghostbusters really one of the first behind Jaws summer blockbusters, and
right.
Across the country, they typically show the original Ghostbusters in theaters. But because of the virus, they were doing it in drive-ins. And people, one of the things we've been sort of missing during not just the virus, but also the aftermath of George Floyd dying in police custody and the riots that have followed afterwards, one of the things that we've sort of been missing is the sense of community and being part of something bigger than ourselves. The Ghostbusters, while it sounds kind of silly that this was a big deal, but it was a big deal. This was going to show in the 300 drive-ins that are located across the country, and they were gearing up. The drive-in, the Starlight Drive-in that I went to in Butler, PA, which is a northern suburb of Pittsburgh. They had Ghostbuster reenactors coming, and the Ecto-mobile, the 1959 Cadillac, that was so wildly popular when the movie came out, was going to be there. And, this is a great place to sort of take a family of four. It's $8 a car, and the food is amazing, and still be socially distant. And it was canceled because across the country it was canceled by the studio and by the Drivers Association because they didn't think it was the right time to be celebrating anything. And I kind of thought that was sad because even in our worst, darkest moments in this country, whether it was when Kennedy was shot, there's still NFL games the next day. Steelers played. And after 9/11, George W. Bush threw out the first pitch. You can simultaneously be mourning your loss of a lifestyle during the coronavirus and also support protesters during the Black Lives Matter movement and still be able to go to a drive-in with your family and have a good time. They don't contradict each other. But our culture and society is demanding us to be mournful and sad. And that's not a healthy thing.
Well, I just said this in Northern Virginia. I'm going to give my idea out because I know our listeners, and we originate on the San Diego station of Salem Radio Network. We have lots of Navy. Navy was supposed to play Notre Dame and Dublin, Ireland this year in their football game, and they canceled it and they moved it back to Annapolis. So the first time ever, they're going to play at Annapolis with Notre Dame. And I don't know yet, but I said, I don't know yet if it's going to be under the lights or what time of day, but I said there ought to be pop-up tailgates all across the country for Navy fans and Notre Dame fans on that Saturday. It's a Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And just have and now I didn't know. I thought this story, I'll be honest, when I read this story, I'm not going to lie to you. I read the first 2 or 3 paragraphs and I thought it was about having this great thing. I didn't know it was canceled. And so I'm now bummed out that it was canceled. All right. But Salena Zito, I want to ask you one more question because I'm running out of time. I talk too much. But here's my question. 1984 Ghostbusters, 1982, the book Blue Highways came out by William Least Heat Moon, who's a Missouri guy. Have you read that book?
Oh, yeah, several times.
I figured. Yeah. Probably a dozen times. You need to write a version of that after this election cycle of not all the stories, but all these linking all these things together, because people you've got a kind of William Least Heat Moon. I'm being serious, kind of character. People relate to you as having been out here on these things, and you maybe just put all these essays together, and you could use that because it was a great book, wasn't it? A great book.
Oh, it was an absolutely great book, and nothing is more heartwarming than being on the back roads of this country. You see so much of who we are, and I think it's and who we aspire to be, and it's a great reflection of American exceptionalism.
Yeah. Well, you should do that. I think you should do one of those. You should do something like that. But all right, I got to run. SalenaZito.com. Go and sign up her emails, and she will blast out when she's writing, and she's always on top of stuff. And keep in touch and stay close, Salena.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay, we'll talk again soon. We'll take a quick break, and don't forget, go to ProAmericaReport.com to get updates and find all these interviews as standalone segments. ProAmericaReport.com. Be right back. Ed Martin here on the Pro America Report. Be back in a minute.